to a video that I'm going to run you through how to conduct and document the research component of your portfolio. Now, we're having a look at the folio scaffold we're working on. I'm scrolling down into the project design and management phase here, and I'm specifically looking at this section here titled Research. And you can see my page guide here is 4 to 8 pages approximately. To be realistic there, if you've got less than 4 pages, there is no way that you've completed the research correctly. It's not possible to have only got 4 pages worth of research. So either you need to go back to the previous section, areas of research, and document some more areas to research, or you've inappropriately or incorrectly documented your research, meaning you've actually missed some key parts. So let's have a look at what it's really asking here. It's asking you to conduct a wide range. Now, I'm going to highlight the word wide because it is important that you understand that I'm not saying that you research 1 or 2 things. I'm talking a wide range. Now, for most of the examples that we're going to use here, I'm going to say that the magic number here is about 5. You need to conduct a wide range of research that is relevant. Again, highlighted that word because you can't just go and randomly research anything to do with timber or woodworking. It has to be research that's actually linked to your project in some way, something you genuinely are considering using or doing, and you want some more information about it. And that wide range of relevant research that you do is for components, for processes, for technologies, and resources, all which should have been identified in that areas of research area. Now, when you're doing this research, it recommends using some subheadings, so a subheading for each of the different sections, so components, processes, etc. And it also recommends that you incorporate a statement under each section of research or next to each section of research in which you're evaluating the research, explaining and justifying why that research was relevant, what you've learned from it, and how you're going to take that learning and that understanding and apply it to your specific project. So the research really is targeted to your job, and it then needs to link to your job in either a decision of I'm going to do that process because, or I'm not going to do that process because, and that's all your justification. Okay, so that's what we're aiming for here. Now I'm going to flick across to our Band 6 sample. You've got access to this. This is from the SHAPE website. This is one exemplar, one example of how you can present your research. Now, what's important here isn't the way that it's laid out. Definitely the way that it's laid out is helping, but what's important here is the quality of the research and some of the key parts. So let's just pay a little bit of attention to some of the key components. Firstly, there is a heading here which identifies that this is talking about materials, components, processes, and resources. It's talking about selecting them and justifying them. Okay? Now below that, there's a random quote. You are not getting bonus marks for quotes like that. Okay, so don't think that you need to use this quote or any other quote in your portfolio. The goal here is to present good quality research. So we've then decided that this part of the research, the subheading of the research, is the timber selection. So this student here needs to research a wide range of timber species, that they are considering using in their project. The information that they provide should include information about the species and then a little bit of information about how it could actually be used in the project. So let's get started. They've looked at Jarrah. Jarrah is the first of the timbers that they are researching. They've included an image up here so that we can reference the color and the grain and the figure of that timber species. Then there's a description. What is Jarrah and what are the characteristics, what are the features? Where could it also be used? So Jarrah has great color to it, can be finished nicely, can get both red tones as well as some dark brown colors out of it. It's generally reasonable to work with, could be used as the main body of this particular student's project, and you can see they're making a table. It's good for steam bending, but there are better timbers for that use. So you can see that the research this student has done has gone into, is this material appropriate to my specific project and why? And the key information is in there. Then they've got this section here called reasoning. This is the justification or the evaluation. This is where they've said, look, there could actually be better timbers that I can use. However, the color of the wood is not what I like, being a brown or red color. The color that I prefer is more gray brown, which means Jarrah is unsuitable for the table that I'm making. So they have said, this is Jarrah, this is a little bit about it. Here's a picture of it. It's not suitable for my project, even though it can be used for tables, even though it can be used for bending timbers. Because of the color profile, it's not suitable for my criteria for success. Therefore, I am not going to use it for my project. End of that section. Now the student researches their second species. Again, there's an image here that matches. Again, a little bit of description, where it can be used or how it can be used, and then some justification about whether it is or isn't suitable for this student's specific project. Nice and simple. Now, when we're looking at the layout of this research here for materials, specifically for the timbers that are going to be used, one of the things that I'm noticing is that this student has used the majority of their page. They've filled it up quite well. They haven't wasted any space, and they've kept the images consistent. This is a really important feature for those ICT skills that are built into the marking criteria. Having that consistency in presentation, consistently using the same fonts, same sizes, and even uppercase for each of the subheadings. Consistently using subheadings, consistent fonts, consistent formats. This level of consistency helps to add value to this documentation in terms of the ICT skills. It also makes it really easy for the person reading your folio to find information about the materials you considered and why you did or didn't select them. This is only one example of how it's laid out. Now, let's then flick over to our document and let's have a look at how we can do research. Now, the first thing that I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how you can set up a table. So I've used just some very simple headings, very similar to what we saw in that sample there. You don't have to use these samples, these headings. It depends on what information is relevant for you to include based on your areas of research. But I'm researching materials here, and I'm going to put some images of each of the timber species. I'm going to write down where it could be used, and then a little bit about the timber, and then I'm going to have a little section of the table here about justification. Okay. Now, before we go in and make it look nice, I'm going to show you what it looked like when I first started working on it. When I first started working on it, my table looked like this. All my fonts were black, and it was all plain and simple. And that's what yours probably is going to start like. I've then gone and said, okay, let's do our research first. So I've decided I'm going to do my research. This one here is, I've gone to the Wood Solutions website and I found Jarrah. I can then go look at some other timbers. Let's have a look at Blackbutt, for example. Copy image, paste them in. When I use a table, the benefit of using a table is it makes the images a consistent size. Okay, we talked about that consistency earlier on. This is where you get that consistency by using tables to control the size of your images. Now, then I can talk about putting in some information, so some subheadings. Okay, this one here was spotted gum, and I believe this one was Blackbutt. However, I have to double check that. Yes, it was Blackbutt. Done. Let's make these consistent. I'm just going to highlight them, make them bold so they stand out. They're all the same. Now under here, where could this timber be used? What are the characteristics, features? Okay, you can use any bit of information that you think is relevant. Okay, this sort of website as well, if you go to each species of timber, tells you a little bit about it, tells you the other names that it might be called, gives you an overview. tells you some properties, okay? It shows you where it fits in the colors. So if you've said you want red timbers, it doesn't fit in the red timbers. So you might want to look for something that's in the reds. Gives you information about durability, all sorts of information. Not all of it's really relevant to us in our projects. Description, okay, how to identify it. One key thing here is workability. Okay, how easy is it to actually work with? And then applications, it actually tells you where this species of timber is quite commonly used in industry, and you can work out from where it's used if it's actually relevant for your project. So if you're picking a timber that is commonly used in house frames, like treated pine, for example, but you're planning to make a chopping board that people are going to eat from, then you need to really consider, is that timber appropriate for the use? And all of your research should lead to that. So you put some information in about the species of timber, whatever information is relevant to you, and then you have a little table here called justification. Now, how do I get it to look nice? Firstly, one of the tricks that I recommend is to either turn off your lines, which stops your page looking so busy, or the other recommendation is to actually use light gray or light colored lines of other colors. Okay, it can be any color that you want to use, but light colored lines help give the organization of a table, shows that there's some structure there, but they're not so obtrusive when you're looking at them. Then you want your headings to stand out. So you want to use some colors here as well. Okay, doesn't have to be colors. It can be grays, it can be browns, it can be whatever you choose, whatever is appropriate for your design scheme of your folio. But here you need to be consistent in your design scheme. And in your justification, you put some information. Now, let's go back to the question. Conducting a wide range of research into components, processes, technologies, and resources. So I'm doing research here into research of materials. So that's the section that I'm working on here. Then I've got that I'm using timber species is the subsection of the research that I'm working on. Okay, so I can make that a heading as well. Use your heading levels. Okay, whatever you need to do, use those levels appropriately. Okay, then once you've got this all set up, you move on to your next part. So back over here. Okay, got my information from the sample. Go back to my question. I've wide range of relevant research. Have I got a wide range? No. I said to you the magic number was 5 and I've only got 3 species. So I need to go back here and get another 2 species to make this appropriate. Okay. Copy, paste, and then maybe I want to have a look at a softwood like a pine. Copy and paste. Okay. So there's my research into my materials. I've got my 5 materials. Therefore, I have a wide range. Are these materials relevant to my project? Yes, because I'm doing a timber project, so obviously timber species is relevant. Have I used subheadings? Yes. Have I got a statement or have I got a spot for where my evaluation of my research justifies the selection? Yep, I've got that all right here in my justification. And that's the first part of research. You can see this table here very easily filled up 1 page of research. And in terms of my presentation, I'm going to do my best to make sure it all fits on 1 page so that it's simple and neatly laid out. Okay, so that's the first example of research. The next thing that we need to do in terms of our research is also to have a think about things other than timber that we're going to be using. So we're going to be using tools. So we would need to do some research into a range of different tools. We're going to be researching how to actually join our timber together for each of the different parts, carcass joints, widening joints, framing joints. Maybe you're talking about how to do some turning, how to do bending, how to shape your timber, carving, inlays, marquetry, parquetry, whatever it is, you need to research all of the processes relevant to your project as well. Let's have a look at tool research and how can we do tool research. Again, we're still in this same section of research. We still need a wide range. It needs to be relevant and it needs to be for tools. So have a look at our sample here. Have we got a sample of tools? Yeah, we do. Right here, machines. They've got images of the machine. They've got a name, how it can be used, justification of where to use it. Very, very, very easy to work out which tools are being used and which tools are not being used. Okay, so let's have a think. How can we lay this out? Again, I'm thinking a table. Same sort of thing, images, uses. I'm also going to add safety in here for an extra element of detail, and then reasoning. So what images, what tools? Let's have a think. I'm probably going to need to use a drop saw. Now, I'm going to tell you my little secret, and that is that OnGuard has lots of information that's very relevant for you to use. For example, it has safety equipment PPE. I'm going to copy that image, and I'm going to paste it into my folio. Now, because I've borrowed this, it needs to be referenced. Now, you need to reference it appropriately, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. I've got my PPE in. The tool that I'm looking for here is drop saw. Again, I want to get an image of that. Okay, if I'm having a look at OnGuard, it has images in there as well. So again, put my image in, there it is. Make it stand out because we know it's a heading. Now, where can a drop saw be used? A drop saw can be used based on my research for cross-cutting, miter cuts, cutting to length. Okay, that's the same as cross-cutting, but you put in all your uses there. You then need to put in what are some of the safety considerations, things that you need to think about regarding safety. And I would recommend here that you do a little bit of a risk assessment. How dangerous is this machine? Well, when you do your little review here, it should be there. You can also have a chat to your teacher, me for example, and get information about how dangerous this is based on the risk rating. It's also available on the standard operating procedure, the SOP document in our workshop. Let's say for argument's sake that this is a level 4 danger, 4 out of 5. So it's dangerous, but it's not the most dangerous thing. We then put in what are the things that we can do to control and minimize the chance of injury or death when using this machine. Correct training, demonstrations, PPE. What other things can I do? I list them in my controls. I would need to cover a wide range of tools. So I would expect that I have 5 tools at minimum. Now, if you know you're going to use 10 tools, then you need to have research for all 10. Okay? And again, I'm not researching 5 different brands of drop saws. Okay? I might research all of the different tools that exist. The drop saw, the bandsaw, thicknesser, maybe I've got the lathe, whatever it might be. And I'm going to update the image, update the safety, update the uses for each of those different tools. Then, in my reasoning, how can I use this? How does it apply to my project? And why is it the best tool to use? For example, increased accuracy is achieved through the use of the drop saw. And you can add in your industry terminology that this is mechanization. This is the human using the machine to improve the quality or efficiency or productivity of their work. Okay? All sorted. If I go back to my question, sorry, back over here, have I got a wide range? Yes, 5 different tools at least. Is it relevant? Yes, because these are the tools I'm going to use for my project. I didn't research sewing machines. I didn't research kettles or coffee machines or fish tanks. I researched machines that I can use for my project in the timber workshop that I am actually considering using. Have I done that into components? Not yet. Processes? Not yet. Technologies? Yes. Now we probably want to have a look at processes. Again, how do we organize this information? Here's the example. They've done research into CNC routing, veneering, laminating, marquetry, parquetries, inlays, CAD softwares, 3D printing, whatever it might be. Research, justification for every single one of these possible things that they might use. Okay? This is how you get top level marks for research. Organize it using subheadings, cover all of the requested components. This will very easily fill 4 pages. I wouldn't be surprised if some students are pushing 10 pages, even up to 15 pages. I hope that's been really helpful for you. Good luck with your research. Come and let me know if you need any further information. Thank you very much.